My girlfriend discovered my salary and is furious about her allowance. I'm really at a loss here and could use some advice. My girlfriend and I have been dating for around 8 months, and until recently, things had been going great. Then, she stumbled across one of my recent pay stubs, and since then, it's been tension and awkward conversations. For a bit of background, I 25 meters, living in Miami, and I make about $9,600 a month after taxes. She works as a waitress at a popular local restaurant. Our initial meeting was a bit unconventional. I went there late one night with a group of coworkers, hoping to grab a drink and some food after a long shift. The restaurant was packed, so initially, we were told we'd have to wait. But when my girlfriend, 21 of, then just a stranger, noticed me, she offered to see if she could make something work. I'm not a bad-looking guy, and maybe that played a part because, a few minutes later, we were seated. I was genuinely grateful and left her a $100 tip, with my number written on the receipt. At first, I thought I'd blown it. No call, no text. But 2 days later, she finally reached out, thanked me for the tip, and asked why I'd left such a big one. I told her I knew the struggle of customer service and wanted to show my appreciation. That seemed to break the ice, and eventually, she agreed to go out with me. Things took off from there. Our chemistry was real, and we enjoyed each other's company. From the beginning, she knew I made decent money, but we never discussed specifics. I'd occasionally help her out financially, covering small expenses or surprises here and there, and giving her a monthly allowance because I knew her job wasn't always reliable. She seemed appreciative, until last week. Last week, she saw my pay stub on the counter and was shocked. After a few awkward seconds of silence, she looked up at me with this sort of confused disappointment. It was as if she felt betrayed. We hadn't had a real discussion about finances, but now she was bringing it up, saying things like, "I didn't know you made this much," and asking why her allowance wasn't more in line with my income. I'm not sure what to think or do next, to be honest. I thought I was being fair with the allowance I gave, and I never wanted her to feel like I was keeping something from her. But now, it feels like she's comparing her worth to my salary. I don't want money to change what we have, but I'm feeling pressure to either raise her allowance or somehow justify my expenses. I've tried explaining that I worked hard for my career and manage my finances carefully, but she's been distant since this conversation. So, Reddit, I'm conflicted. Should I consider raising her allowance, or is this a red flag? So here I am, still trying to make sense of the situation. I should mention that I give her a $700 monthly allowance. This isn't meant to be payment for anything specific. I made it clear from the beginning that she's not a maid or anything like that. We both share the cooking and cleaning, and I'm happy to do my part around the house. She lives with me, rent-free, and doesn't pay for any utilities or groceries. I figured the allowance was a fair way to help out with her personal expenses, especially since she doesn't always get reliable hours at the restaurant. But ever since she found out about my salary, things have been off. It's been about a month now, and in that time, she's been distant. Affection that was once there, the casual hugs, hand-holding, even the good morning kisses, has faded. It's like she's withholding everything I thought made our relationship feel genuine, and I can't shake the feeling that it's connected to this issue about money. We've had a few conversations, though none that seem to resolve anything. She's subtly hinted that maybe the allowance doesn't reflect my income and has suggested I could do more, considering what I make. It feels like every time we talk, she's waiting for me to bring up raising the allowance, and I'm starting to wonder if it's all she cares about. What's really throwing me is that I never thought she was the type to be so focused on money. I thought we had a good thing going, built on mutual respect and compatibility. Now, though, I'm questioning everything. Is this relationship worth it if money is going to become the sticking point? She's been cold and almost transactional lately, and I can't help but wonder if that's her way of getting me to fold. At this point, I'm not sure if I should bring it up directly, raise the allowance to see if it changes anything, or end the relationship altogether. I'm torn because I still care about her, but I don't want to feel like I'm being pressured or manipulated. What would you do in my situation, Reddit? Am I being unreasonable, or is this a red flag I shouldn't ignore? After a month of feeling like I was walking on eggshells, I decided I couldn't keep going like this. My girlfriend's coldness and lack of affection over the allowance issue had worn me down, and it was clear we were no longer on the same page. So I sat her down and told her that things weren't working and it would be best if she moved back in with her parents. I was as calm as I could be, explaining that I didn't want to feel like money was the foundation of our relationship. She listened but soon grew defensive, insisting she wasn't going anywhere. Her reaction quickly escalated, and she began shouting that I was treating her unfairly. I tried to stay composed, but then she started throwing things and even pushed me. I couldn't believe it had come to this. At that point, I had no choice but to call the police. When they arrived, They helped calm the situation, and I made it clear I wasn't pressing charges. I just wanted her to leave peacefully. Eventually, she agreed to go, but it took a while, and it felt like a tense and surreal experience from start to finish. Later that evening, I received a call from her parents, apologizing for what had happened. They told me she would be staying with them, and I got the impression that this wasn't the first time they'd had to deal with something like this. They were polite and understanding, which gave me some relief, but it didn't take away from how exhausting and disheartening the whole situation had been. Now that it's over, I feel a mix of sadness and relief. I genuinely cared for her, but seeing her reaction made me realize I'd made the right decision. Yeah, I'm done with crazy people and I suggest you leave before the worst happens.